I never thought falling in love could be deadly until a Korean mafia boss and his son both wanted me. And now, every choice I make could cost me my life. I never imagined that a single trip to Seoul would change my life forever. I thought I was just visiting, experiencing a new city, tasting new foods, meeting new people. But from the moment I stepped off the plane, something felt different. The streets were alive, neon lights reflecting on wet pavement, and the smell of street food blending with the scent of the Han River. But beneath the beauty, there was a pulse, a danger I couldn't name yet. It started with a simple mistake. I had gone to meet a contact for work, someone who promised connections in the city's art world. But when I entered the building, I realized too late. It wasn't just an office. It was a mansion, guarded and grand, hidden behind the facade of normalcy. And then I saw him. A man standing at the top of a sweeping staircase, eyes sharp, presence commanding. He wasn't just anyone. Everything about him screamed power. The way he moved, the way he looked down at the room. It was like he owned not just the space, but everything in it. I tried to apologize for my intrusion, but my words barely left my lips. He didn't smile, didn't laugh. He just watched me as if weighing me, measuring me, deciding if I belonged in his world or if I was a threat. "You shouldn't be here," he said, his voice calm but edged with something dangerous. I nodded, stepping back, trying to retreat, but before I could, a young man appeared beside him. He had the same sharp features, the same intensity, but there was something different in his eyes, something softer, warmer, almost human in a way that made my heart skip. "You're not afraid?" he asked, almost teasing. I wanted to be. I wanted to run, to escape this world I didn't understand. But instead, I found myself curious. That was my first glimpse into the life of the Korean mafia boss and his son. At first, I tried to keep my distance. I told myself this was temporary, that I was here for work, for my own life. But the mansion, the secrets, the danger, it pulled me in. Days passed, and I couldn't help but notice the small things. The way the boss moved through the halls with absolute control. The way he treated people with a mixture of fear and respect. Every gesture, every glance was calculated. He was a man who had everything, yet nothing at the same time. And in the son, he was different. Playful, bold, daring in ways his father never allowed. He'd find me in the garden or the kitchen, asking questions about my life, my culture. We'd talk about food, music, traditions. I showed him a few African recipes, taught him words in my language. And in those moments, he wasn't a son of a mafia boss. He was just a young man, curious about the world beyond his mansion walls. But the more I got to know them, the more dangerous my situation became. I started noticing the glances, the subtle gestures, the way both of them seemed drawn to me. I couldn't ignore it, and neither could they. One evening, I was alone in the study when I heard the door click behind me. The father entered, not with anger, but with a presence that filled the room. "You shouldn't wander here," he said softly. I froze, heart racing. "I wasn't wandering," I whispered, though my voice betrayed me. He didn't respond, just watched me. I felt exposed, like a puzzle piece he was trying to solve. And in that moment, I realized I had stepped into a world where my every move mattered, where nothing was simple and where love nor danger could appear in a single glance. Days turned into weeks. I started learning the rules, the unspoken hierarchies, the tension that lingered in every conversation. The mansion wasn't just a home, it was a chessboard, and I was the new piece that could tip the balance. And the son, he became a constant presence, always observing, always laughing at moments no one else could see. Sometimes he'd appear when I least expected him, offering help, a hand, or just a smile. He was dangerous in his own way, dangerous to my heart. As then came the night that changed everything. A private party in the mansion, guests dressed in silk and gold, laughter echoing under the chandeliers. I thought I was invisible, just another guest. But I wasn't. They were watching me, both of them. I remember catching the father's gaze from across the room, sharp, calculating, almost possessive. And the son. He was leaning casually against the balcony, smirk on his face, eyes never leaving me. That night I realized the truth. I wasn't just a visitor in their world. I was a force they both wanted, though neither would admit it. And just like that, my life became a game of survival and desire, where every smile, every word, and every glance had a hidden meaning. I didn't know it yet, but this was only the beginning. In the heart of Seoul, between neon lights and dark alleys, between tradition and power, I had stepped into a storm that neither my heritage nor my instincts could fully prepare me for. And I couldn't look away. And just when I thought I understood their world, something happened that changed everything. Something that would make me question not only who I could trust, but whether I could survive at all. I thought the tension was all in their eyes, but I was wrong. The real danger, the real truth, was yet to reveal itself, and it would come from the last place I expected. I never imagined that one glance could make my heart both race and freeze. But the sun, he did that. Every time he appeared, it was like the world shifted around me. He was unlike anyone I'd ever met. His laugh could fill a room, yet his eyes held secrets, shadows that hinted at the power he carried within his bloodline. Now, and despite the danger, I found myself drawn to him, wanting to see the world through his eyes. He'd find me in quiet corners of the mansion, sometimes in the garden, sometimes in the kitchen. "You like this?" he'd ask, gesturing at a dish I'd cooked. I'd smile, pretending I didn't notice the way he lingered just a second too long, the way he studied my every move. It was innocent at first, just playful banter. But as the days passed, the lines blurred. He began to confide in me about his life, about the weight of being the son of the most feared man in Seoul. And in those moments, I saw not the Mafia heir, but a young man trapped between loyalty, expectation, and desire. And yet, he wasn't the only one drawn to me. I started noticing subtle things. The way his father would appear suddenly, standing in the doorway, now watching me as if I were a storm about to hit. The way he would ask questions, small and sharp, probing without words. It wasn't anger I saw in him. It was interest, possessive, careful, and commanding. I began to realize the truth. I was caught in a triangle I'd never asked to enter. And the more I tried to step back, the more entangled I became. One afternoon, the sun led me to the balcony, overlooking the city lights of Seoul. The night was alive, the streets below glittering, full of stories I would never know. He spoke softly, almost afraid someone would overhear. "You don't belong here," he said. I turned to him, confused. "I belong wherever I choose," I replied, trying to sound brave. He smiled, but there was a sadness behind it, the kind that makes you ache without knowing why. "I wish it were that simple," he whispered. I didn't respond, because I knew he was right. In this mansion, in this life, nothing was simple. As I walked back inside, I caught sight of his father again. The room was quiet, but the tension was thick. He didn't speak, but the look in his eyes told me more than words ever could. He wanted me. And in that moment, I realized I was in over my head. Days became a careful dance. I had to learn when to speak, when to step back, when to smile. Every gesture mattered. Every word could shift the balance between them. And it wasn't just the two of them I had to think about. The mansion had eyes everywhere. Guards, servants, even family friends. Everyone knew the rules, everyone understood the danger, but I was new and I had no guide. The son would sometimes appear with small gifts, something from the market, a note written in careful handwriting, a joke only I could understand. I began to look forward to those moments, even though I knew they were risky. Then came the night of the first confrontation. It wasn't planned. I was walking through the main hall when I saw the father and son standing together, their voices low, sharp, but tense. Something had happened, something I wasn't privy to, but I could feel it in my chest, a tension that pressed against my ribs. I froze, unsure whether to step back or stay, and that's when the son turned to me. His eyes, full of mischief and danger, held mine. "Don't move," he said softly. The father's gaze followed, sharp and assessing. The air crackled, filled with unspoken words, unclaimed desires, and threats barely disguised as casual conversation. In that moment, I realized this wasn't just about who I was. It was about power. It was about control. And somehow, impossibly, it was about love. From that day, I walked a line so thin it felt like glass under my feet. I had to be careful, but I also had to be present. I couldn't ignore either of them. The father's intensity demanded respect. The son's warmth demanded trust. And I couldn't deny the pull of both. I started to notice patterns, small signals that told me what they were thinking. A slight nod, a pause in their speech. The way their eyes followed me across a room. Every day became a puzzle. Every day I felt the danger and the desire intertwining more tightly around me. And then it happened. I was alone in the library when the son appeared, leaning casually against the doorway. He held a letter, a simple piece of paper, but the way he looked at me, it made my stomach twist. "You need to see this," he said. I took the paper, heart hammering, and as I read it, I realized the stakes were higher than I could have imagined. Secrets were being revealed, loyalties were being tested, and my life, my heart, was at the center of it all. That night I lay awake, thinking about both of them. One was danger dressed in silk and control. The other was temptation draped in charm and warmth. And me? I was the eye of the storm. And just when I thought I could navigate this carefully, one wrong move, and not by me, would change everything. One word, one glance, could destroy everything. As the days passed, the tension grew. I could feel the silent battles happening in the same room, conversations held in eyes and gestures rather than words. The mansion itself seemed alive, almost protective of the secrets it held. I started to notice more about them. The father, his loyalty to tradition, his respect for family and power, and the son, his desire to break free from expectations, even if only slightly. They were different, but they were connected by something stronger than blood. And me? I was the thread that wove them together, and the one who could unravel it all. I thought I was just surviving their world. But the truth was, I was changing it. And neither of them knew just how dangerous I could be. The game had only begun, and I knew there was no turning back. The tension had reached its peak. Every day felt like walking on glass, fragile, dangerous, and full of the potential to shatter at any moment. I could feel it in the way the father's gaze lingered on me. The way the son's presence followed me even when he wasn't there. I was no longer just a visitor in their world. I had become the reason their lives shifted, the reason tempers flared and hearts raced. It started with a whisper, a secret that slipped past the carefully constructed walls of the mansion. I overheard the father speaking to a trusted associate, his voice low but sharp. "She's not just anyone. Be careful." And then the son appeared at my side, his tone playful but edged with something serious. "You heard that, didn't you?" I nodded, unable to hide it. His hand brushed mine, casual, but the touch sent a shiver down my spine. "We're in more danger than you think," he said softly. Danger, desire, secrets, all tangled together like threads in a web I couldn't escape. That night, I realized that loyalty wasn't just a word in their world. It was a weapon, and I was holding it. The first betrayal came subtly. I noticed changes in the household, small but deliberate. Messages misdirected, conversations halted abruptly when I entered a room, glances exchanged behind closed doors. Someone was testing me, testing them, testing the limits of what I could endure. And then it happened. I was alone in the main hall when the father confronted me. His presence filled the room, suffocating yet intoxicating. "You know what this means, don't you?" he asked. I looked up at him, heart pounding. I think so." "No, you don't," he replied. "Not fully." His words were sharp, precise, cutting through my courage. I realized then that nothing about this world would be gentle. Not love, not power, not survival. Hours later, the sun found me in the garden. The night air was cool, fragrant with the scent of jasmine, and I could barely breathe through the tension. "They're going to fight over you," he said, eyes searching mine, "and I can't let that happen." "Then what do we do?" I whispered. "We survive," he said, gripping my hand tightly. "Together, if we can." But survival wasn't simple. Every step, every choice, every glance risked igniting a war. I realized I had to navigate more than just their emotions. I had to navigate their worlds, their families, their enemies. Then came the night of the revelation. A letter, a hidden document, something that changed the rules of the game completely. The father discovered it before the son, and the tension exploded like a storm finally breaking. I watched from the shadows, heart in my throat, as father and son confronted each other. Their voices were low, sharp, and full of controlled rage. Every word cut through the room like a knife. "You've gone too far," the father said. "I did what needed to be done," the son replied. And in that room, I realized something terrifying. I wasn't just a witness. I was the reason they were at odds. I had become the center of their conflict. And then I realized the real danger wasn't outside this mansion. It was right here, between them and me. The days that followed were unbearable. I had to hide my emotions, my intentions, even my heart. Every smile, every word, every gesture could tip the balance. And yet, I couldn't stay away from either of them. The father approached me one evening quietly in the study. "You are stronger than I thought," he said. There was a pause, and then a softer tone, and more dangerous than I expected. I knew then that I wasn't just loved. I was feared. And in their world, love and fear were inseparable. The sun, meanwhile, found me under the moonlit balcony. "You're changing us," he whispered. "And I don't know if that's good or dangerous." "I survive," I said, looking him in the eye. "And maybe I'm changing us all." But change comes with a price. One night, the two of them confronted me, together for the first time. The air was thick, charged with emotions that words couldn't contain. Desire, anger, loyalty, power, and somewhere in between, love. "I can't lose you," the father said. "You're mine too," the son said, voice low and tense. I took a deep breath, feeling the weight of every choice I'd ever made, every step I had ever taken in this mansion, in their world. And I realized I had survived, not because I was clever, not because I was lucky, but because I was fearless. And in that moment, I understood the truth. Love isn't about possession. It's about survival, courage, and sometimes choosing the right moment to stand your ground. The resolution didn't come in fireworks or dramatic confrontations. It came quietly, in understanding, in subtle respect, in a recognition of each other's strengths and vulnerabilities. I had changed them, and they had changed me. I was no longer the girl who wandered into a mansion by accident. I was the woman who survived the storm of power, passion, and danger. In the end, I walked away from nothing because I had gained everything: insight, strength, and a place in their hearts that no one could take away. And I realized that life in this world wasn't about choosing sides. It was about holding your ground, understanding the forces around you, and surviving even when love makes you vulnerable. And as I looked back at the city, at the mansion that had once threatened to swallow me whole, I knew one thing for certain. In the world of power and passion, I wasn't just loved, I survived. If you were in my shoes, torn between two dangerous hearts, what would you do? Comment below before you scroll and hit subscribe. I promise, next story will shock you.